We all know Anne Frank's diary as this incredibly important historical document, right? But what if I told you there's another story tucked inside those pages? It's one of the most personal and, honestly, one of the most universal awakenings ever recorded, all while she was hidden away from the world. Okay, let's just start with something we can all agree on. Puberty is, well, it's never easy. It's awkward, it's confusing, it's this huge transformation for anyone, no matter when or where they live. It's just a tough rite of passage, even in the best of times. Now, I want you to imagine going through all of that, all those changes, all those feelings, but you're trapped. You're stuck in this tiny, confined space, you have zero privacy, and you're living under the constant, terrifying threat of being discovered. Well, that was Anne Frank's reality. And it turned a totally normal human experience into this extraordinary test of the human spirit.
So that brings us right into our first section here. What it was really like, physically and emotionally, to come of age inside the secret annex.
The lack of privacy was just absolute. Every single sound could be heard. Every personal item was either shared or, at the very least, seen by everyone. There was no room she could call her own, no private bathroom for just a moment of solitude. For Anne, her own body was changing. This intensely personal journey was happening in a place where literally nothing was private.
And this slide, wow, it just lays out the difference so clearly. A typical teenager, you expect some privacy. Anne had constant observation. You might turn to a parent for support or advice. Anne often felt completely alone with her feelings. And simple things, basic necessities like sanitary supplies, for her, that was all about scarcity and secrecy.
And yet, in her own words, we see how she was processing all of this. She wrote so openly in her diary about being embarrassed, about her curiosity, about the discomfort. But right alongside all of that, she felt this new, kind of profound sense of becoming an adult, even in these completely impossible conditions.
But, this story goes so much deeper than the physical challenges. The changes happening inside Anne's mind were every bit as huge, and they led to what we can only call an internal awakening.
So here's the key. Anne basically reframed the whole experience for herself. To her, it wasn't just a bunch of physical changes happening to her. No, it was a catalyst. It was a psychological awakening that pushed her to understand herself and the world around her on a much, much deeper level.
And this is just incredible, isn't it? Instead of only seeing the hardship and the awkwardness, Anne chose to see these changes as proof that she was growing. She actually welcomed them as evidence that she was becoming an independent person, someone with her own thoughts, her own opinions, her own will, totally separate from everyone else crammed into the annex. You can almost see her process laid out here. It all started with the physical, sure, but it moved inward so fast. Those biological changes, they forced her to really think about her feelings. That led her to start questioning her relationships with others, like her mother and Peter. And ultimately, it all led to her actively building a new, stronger sense of who she was. And this awakening, it really did change everything for her. Her writing got more philosophical, she started analyzing her really complicated relationship with her mother and that budding connection she had with Peter Van Pels with this newfound maturity. And of course, this growing sense of self just made her deep, painful longing for freedom even more intense. The freedom to just be that person out in the real world.
So why? Why does this super personal story still hit us so hard today? Well, that brings us to the legacy of her incredible courage.
We really have to remember the time period here. For a teenage girl in the 1940s to write with such raw, unfiltered honesty about her body, her feelings, her sexuality, that was nothing short of groundbreaking. She was breaking a silence that society just expected young women to keep. And that's exactly why her diary feels so timeless. The feeling she describes, that mix of confusion and insecurity, but also that sense of excitement and transformation, those are feelings that every young person everywhere can recognize. It's universal. And that's it, right there. Her courage to write all of this down is what makes her diary so much more than just a historical record of persecution. It becomes this deeply, deeply human story about resilience, about the fight to grow and become the person you're meant to be, no matter what the odds are. And so we're left with this one last thought. By refusing to let her circumstances define her, Anne Frank made sure her voice would not only survive, but that it would continue to teach all of us, for generations to come, about the universal and often very secret journey of growing up.